Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera to all. I'm going to present to you the lecture for slide Behaviorism Learning Theory Part 1. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to understand the behaviorist learning theory and major thinkers from this belief, the behaviorist learning pedagogy such as reward and punishment, behavioral instructional design, and taxonomies of learning, including the behaviorist learning technology, meaning that the examples of the application of behaviorism belief into technology, such as in teaching machines and computer-assisted instruction. Behaviorism is the earliest theory of learning developed, with the belief that learning is behavior change, meaning that they believe once the learner's behavior change, learning happens. Behaviorism focuses exclusively on behavior, that is the external focus, those that can be seen from the learner's behavior, that is the observable performance. Behaviorism posits that a stimulus leads to a response, that is, the relationship between S, stimulus, and R, response. The relationship between S, stimulus, and R, response was first proposed by Ivan Pavlov. For example, when stimulus provided by instructor or teacher, followed by response provided by learner, according to behaviorism, learning happens. Thus, learning is behavior change through their observable performance. And then, later on, B.F. Skinner proposed another element, that is reinforcement provided by instructor, that will further strengthen the relationship between stimulus and response. Learning is accomplished when a proper response is demonstrated following the presentation of a specific environmental stimulus. For example, when a teacher presented a mathematics flashcard showing the equation 2 plus 4 equivalent to, and the learner replies with the answer of 6. The equation is the stimulus and the proper answer is the associated response. The key elements are the stimulus, the response, and the association between the two. Of primary concern is how the association between the stimulus and response is made, strengthened, and maintained. The association between the stimulus and response can be further strengthened through positive reinforcement, such as teacher praises the learners, correct, you are right, or well done. Behaviorists did not take into consideration the unmeasurable states, such as feelings, attitudes, and consciousness. They strongly believe that human behavior is predictable and controllable. The theory of behaviorism concentrates on the study of behaviors that can be observed and measured in the sense that response to stimulus can be observed, ignoring the possibility of thought processes occurring in the mind. Therefore, the motto of behaviorism is behavior, not mine. Behaviorists believe that what is in the mind is not accessible for study. Thus, they view mind as a black box, and therefore, educational practice based on behaviorist terms would not take the mind into account. Behaviorists emphasize on the environmental stimulus and observed response, that is the external focus, what can be seen. Because it is predictable, behaviorists believe that a certain stimulus will evoke a particular response, and they are not interested in what happens in between the stimulus and response because they view mind as a black box. They believe that nothing happened in the learner's mind. What about what you believe? Do you agree or disagree with behaviorists? So the main point is, according to behaviorism, learning happens based on the observable change of behavior. And by repeating the stimulus and response cycle, human is conditioned into repeating the response whenever the same stimulus is present. However, this learning theory neglects the thinking process that may occur in the mind. These are the major contributors in the development of behaviorist theory, which are Pavlov, Skinner, Thorndike, and Watson. There are two most popular names associated with the development of the behaviorist theory, that is Ivan Pavlov, with his dog experiment that is best known as the classical conditioning. And another one, B.F. Skinner, with his rat experiments known as operant conditioning that involve stimulus and response pattern of conditioned behaviors. In his dog experiment, Pavlov placed meat powder, that is, an unconditioned stimulus, on a dog's tongue, which caused the dog to automatically salivate, which is the unconditioned response. The unconditioned responses are natural and are not learned. On a series of subsequent trials, Pavlov sounded a bell at the same time he gave the meat powder to the dog. When the food was accompanied by the bell many times, Pavlov found that he could withhold the food, and the bell's sound itself would cause the dog to salivate. Thus, Pavlov proved that the bell became the conditioned stimulus that caused the conditioned response of salivating. The stimulus and response items of Pavlov's experiment can be summarized as: the food is the unconditioned stimulus, the salivation is the unconditioned response, whereas the bell is the conditioned stimulus, and the final salivation is the conditioned response. Further explanation about the classical conditioning. Pavlov also made the following observation, that once the dog has learned to salivate at the sound of the bell, it will also salivate at other similar sounds. It is also the same when we see this yellow M symbol. As we have been conditioned all this while to think of McDonald's after seeing this picture, We may now salivating or mouth watering. Are you salivating? Are you thinking of the latest promo menu from McDonald's? Are you going to be heading to McDonald's after this? Or you want to order from the Grab food? Ha ha ha. Another example where the student's behavior has been conditioned to clean up the classroom. One more example where the student's behavior has been conditioned to keep quiet in the classroom. Next, in his red experiment that is best known as operant conditioning, Skinner believed in the stimulus response pattern of conditioned behaviors dealt with changes in observable behaviors. The theory of Skinner is based on the idea that learning is a function of change in behavior. When a particular stimulus and response pattern is reinforced or rewarded, the individual is conditioned to respond. Changes in behavior are the result of an individual's response to events, that is, stimuli, that occur in the environment. This is the further explanation about the operant conditioning. This is an example that involves positive and negative reinforcement and punishment. When training an animal, for instance, the owner may want to reinforce the animal's behavior, that is, to increase the behavior, and may also decrease certain behavior by punishment. Therefore, the owner can add something good or bad, that is, by providing positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement, or remove or delay something good or bad, that is, providing positive punishment or negative punishment, in order to get the behavior that they want. Please read these examples of positive and negative reinforcements and punishment. You can also explore these additional links provided for further explanation about the difference between classical conditioning and operant conditioning. So, this is the end of part 1, Behaviorism Learning Theory. Thank you.